Hello, welcome to our video on joyful play, engaging children in learning from preschool through third grade. I'm Dr. Muriel Rand, a professor of early childhood at New Jersey City University and an instructional coach for the Center for Literacy Development at Rutgers University. In this video, I will explore play-based learning, different types of play, and how we can meet the New Jersey student learning standards through play-based activities. Let's start with defining play-based learning. These are activities that are self-chosen by the children, they are enjoyable, and they are process-oriented. Let's take a deeper look at what that means. There are many different types of play-based learning, and this graphic shows the continuum of different types of play-based learning that varies by the amount of direction from the teacher versus the amount of control that the children have over the activities. On the right side, we see learning games that are play-based, but they're teacher-planned and focused on skills. And then next, we have playful learning that's also teacher-planned, such as thematic play centers, but the children have more control in terms of how they use the center. In the middle is collaborative play, in which the children control the activities, but the teacher plays an important role in guiding the activity, kind of like from the side. And next is inquiry learning, which is often called problem-based learning, in which children decide the topic and how the activity will be done, and the teacher provides support rather than being directly involved. And then finally, on the left-hand side, we have free play, where children work independently of the teacher and consolidate their learning, and they have complete control. As you can see from the continuum, play and learning are not separate. Too often we assume that play is just for fun or for social skills, and learning must be more controlled. But there are many ways to integrate learning into play-based activities. And research actually shows that play-based learning practices positively influence children's reading and math scores. And overall, it can be more effective than direct instruction or just free play. There are many other benefits of play-based learning as well. It builds executive functioning skills, content knowledge, creative thinking. It enhances problem-solving skills. It develops reading, vocabulary, and writing skills. It builds mathematical skills such as numerical operations, measurement, and patterning. And it builds confidence, collaboration, and expression. And it produces opportunities to expand thinking and to try new things. Many teachers and administrators have been concerned about the social emotional development of young children, especially since the disruptions of COVID-19. And the good news is that the research on play-based learning it shows that it's one of the best ways to support the development of self-regulation, communication, turn-taking, perseverance, empathy, tolerating frustration, and other social skills. Seat work and whole group lessons just doesn't support that development of these necessary social emotional skills. Children need to be actively engaged in talking and interacting with one another to develop these skills. So overall, in thinking about the daily schedule in P-3 classrooms, we need to find a balance between what the children are interested in and what we want to make sure is covered in the curriculum. We need to trust that the children will get what they need and learn what they need from these play-based experiences. But what about meeting the rigorous New Jersey student learning standards? First, it's important to understand that the standards tell us what children learn, what skills and content knowledge they need to acquire, but they don't tell us how the children should learn them. And play-based learning can help children achieve our standards. What I want to do is take a look at some examples of how play-based learning activities, like specific activities, can meet those standards. And we're going to use the continuum of play-based learning activities to do this. So take another look at this and notice that the categories go from highly teacher-directed to free play at the other end. And I'm going to use these different categories to show you how we can integrate these learning activities while meeting the standards. So let's start with learning through games. Games are a terrific way to provide joyful, motivating activities that are teacher directed but focused on specific skills, such as letter sound bingo, writing the room, fishing for numbers, card games, making Play-Doh numbers, simulations. We've used games for a long time, but I don't think we often understand the depth and complexity of what children can learn from them. Another example of meeting the standards here with games is the splash reading game for vowel sounds. And this meets the second grade standard for spelling sound correspondences for common vowel teams. It's a great way for them to practice what they're learning in whole group. Another example is this addition bowling game that helps meet the first grade mathematics standards to add and subtract within 20. The children keep track of the scores they bowl, and so they have to do adding, right? And then they compare their scores to each other to determine who wins the game. Now let's look at the next category of playful learning. Playful learning is planned by the teacher, but the children have more control over how to complete the process. This slide shows a kindergarten activity in which the children were to copy the pattern block shapes to meet the kindergarten standard of composing simple shapes to form larger shapes. What's interesting here is how the activity allows for differentiation. So these three children were all in the same class doing the same activity at the same time. And you can see how the open-ended nature of the materials allowed the children to get practice at a very basic level, to move towards more competency, and also to exceed the expectations of the standard. This differentiation is hard, if not impossible, to do with math workbooks. This cookie shop is another example of playful learning in which the teacher planned the activity to focus clearly on specific mathematical skills, meeting the kindergarten standard for solving addition and subtraction problems. This is considered playful learning because the teacher or the teacher assistant can guide the children in the center, asking them, what cookies do you want to buy? And supporting them doing the math for paying for the items. And although the activity is teacher planned and guided, the children also have some freedom to make choices within this activity. This multiplication shop is a similar activity for third grade. So this would meet the standards for representing and solving multiplication problems because the children pretend to shop and the cashier must calculate the total owed. Even better, the activity helps to meet the standard for solving multiplication problems with money. Our next category is playful learning. And in this video, you're going to see preschool activity that meets the standard for identifying characters, settings, and major events. The teacher has already had the children act out the story of Gary and Harry, which takes place undersea. It's two turtles, and one of them gets in trouble by eating a plastic bag. It's part of the recycling unit, so that children learn why garbage in the oceans is not a good idea. So they've already acted this out in small group, and she's practiced it with the children in small groups. And now their children are managing the activity on their own, as seen in this video. So we're going to watch a couple minutes of this right now.
Okay, sit down, sit down. Okay, and good Harry. The title says, and good Harry. That's the title.
You can see that one child is acting as the narrator, taking on the role of the teacher, to help guide the children's play.
Look, good Harry, they're swimming. Swim, swim, Buddy, swim.
So here they're acting out the different episodes in the story.
What's happening next?
And they're looking at what's happening next. So they've already got this sense of narrative that it's first, then, next. So they're developing this sense of how stories are formed.
Yeah, I think the clownfish can swim around in there too, right? We added that character.
No. Okay. Oh, you found treasure! Where's the treasure? The treasure! A treasure!
Now they're going on to the next episode of the story where they find a treasure.
Mommy, stop you. That's a jellyfish.
And notice how the narrator is helping them to know who's playing what role. So again, there's this focus on characters and who are the characters in the story and what do they do.
Yeah, it is a treasure. This is a treasure. No. Yeah. No, it's not. This is a treasure. In fact, wait. The pot is a treasure. This is a treasure. Okay?
I also love the way he refers back to the book. So he shows them how this is following the path of the story.
Oh, okay. Look at my hand.
So you can see how important this type of activity is for getting children to really understand how stories are formed and the characters and the major events and the problems that are within stories. So it's a great comprehension activity. The next category is collaborative play. And this is where the students and the teacher play equal roles in the decision-making and guiding the activity. In this slide, you see a social studies activity designed to meet the K-2 standard for learning that goods and services are produced and exchanged in multiple ways. In this first grade class, the students built the types of goods and services found in their own community. There was a football stadium, there was a jewelry store, and there was a concert hall. So they're crafting these out of blocks to understand how their community provides these goods and services. Similarly, in this school, there was a room dedicated to block play, and the teachers could sign up to use it with their children. Here we see older elementary students have created a city, and they're meeting the 3rd through 5th grade standards for understanding the environmental and cultural characteristics that influence where and how people live. In this activity, they were specifically focused on emergency services that could help after an earthquake had hit the city. The next category is inquiry play or project-based learning. And these activities begin with students' interests, and then the teacher provides materials or creates activities to support those interests. In this preschool classroom, the children had spent time acting out the 3 little pigs, similar to what we just saw with Gary and Harry. And then the children wanted to build their own strong houses for the pigs. And after the teacher gave them this opportunity to build their houses from recyclable materials, and then she got out a fan and they tested out how strong their houses were, pretending to be the big bad wolf blowing down the houses. So a wonderful science activity that was also integrated into language arts. This is a first grade classroom where the children had shown a lot of interest in plants and gardening. So the teacher provided the material for their observations and learning. This generated lots of interest and excitement in growing plants. And because the teacher was aware of the standard, she encouraged them to make observations of the young plants and the more mature plants to meet the first grade science standard that young plants and animals are alike, but not exactly like their parents. Finally, at the end of the continuum, we have free play that's directed by the students. The teacher still plays a role in setting up the environment and supporting the learning, but the children here get more control of the activity. So in this kindergarten classroom, the children were doing a study of 5 different versions of the gingerbread man. And one day during center time, the children that were playing in the block area spontaneously built a house to protect the gingerbread man from the wolf. And this activity was perfect for meeting the kindergarten ELA standard of identifying characters, settings, and major events in a story. In this kindergarten classroom, the children chose to create buildings with magnet tiles. This was an ideal activity to meet the kindergarten math standards of model shapes in the world by building shapes from components, and the other standard of composing simple shapes to form larger shapes. So it met 2 standards, and it was completely child-directed. In this classroom, you can also see how the children are encouraged to persevere and are motivated to do so by the play-based learning. This kindergarten student spent a few minutes building the tower to match the picture that she had, but she struggled when she tried to create the triangle shape at the top. She tried several different blocks, different orientations, and then she went back to the cabinet to see if there was a shape that matched what she was looking for. After a few more attempts at turning the shapes around, she finally created the larger triangle from two smaller ones, and she just beamed with satisfaction. I have to admit, I've never seen a child use this type of perseverance or determination to complete a challenging workbook problem. This is the joy of play-based learning. I want to end this section with a focus on the general cognitive skills that underlie all of the standards. For example, logical reasoning, problem solving, following directions, communicating ideas, making connections, developing vocabulary, using memory strategies, and comparing and contrasting. Students who participate in play-based activities have a better chance of developing these cognitive skills. Seat work, workbooks, and drills can be important for introducing the skills and knowledge, but children need time to practice using those skills and knowledge through active, engaged learning. So, how do you begin to integrate more play-based learning? I have three recommendations. First, find the time in the schedule that can be devoted to play-based learning. Some schools that I work with have a dedicated period each day to play centers or project-based learning. If we don't schedule it and just say, oh, we'll try to fit it in, it's not going to be an important part of our day. What we find is important, we put in the schedule. Second, classrooms with play-based learning need appropriate materials. So classrooms should have a block center, math manipulatives, games from ELA and math, science center materials, art materials, and play centers. And one way to fund these is to consider reducing the money that's spent on workbooks. Unfortunately, publishers make most of the amount of money from workbooks because they need to be purchased every year. However, some workbooks are inappropriate for the younger grades and are really not needed. We can substitute manipulatives instead of the workbooks. If we use them, they really should be the result of intentional teaching, and consider, again, using the hands-on manipulatives to engage students in active learning instead. Finally, we can adapt the roles of the teacher to be more of a guide and less controlling of the activities. That said, during what we traditionally called free play, we also want the teacher involved in supporting students and pushing them to higher levels, keeping in mind the standards that we want to meet. So balancing whole group direct instruction with periods of time in which students take control of the learning can really help with students' independent learning process. So, in summary, research shows that children learn a great deal academically through play. Play-based learning comes in different styles on a continuum of teacher and student control and decision making. Play-based learning supports children meeting rigorous academic standards as well as general cognitive skills, and guidance during play leads to the most academic gains. Here are some references and resources to continue your learning on play-based learning and topics. And I want to thank you for joining me and thinking about the opportunities that we can provide our youngest learners with play-based learning. Thank you.